Hey, we're so glad you made it back to the PA universe. This is Dale McKinney. I'm your host today. We've got a really good segment. This is going to feature Peter Bergé. Peter is an attorney, but also a PA that is going to talk to us about medical legal consulting and expert witnessing, that kind of thing. Things that you can do as a side gig, something that you could do if that's your passion as a full-time PA. The sky's the limit, and Peter's here to kind of share that with us and give us some ins and outs, some tips to that. So come right back. You won't want to miss this. Hey, welcome back to the PA Universe. I'm glad you found your way back. Again, we've got a great interview scheduled for you today. This is Peter Bergé. Peter is a PA. He is also an attorney at law, and I'm probably butchering all that, including the name. So, Peter, tell us about who you are, give us an introduction, and correct anything I just messed up.
Oh, everything was right. Good day or good evening to everyone. I practiced as a PA for 22 years in all sorts of varied settings. I was PA faculty at the St. John's University program in Queens, and then went to law school. Practiced for 12 years, litigating mostly medical malpractice cases and also handling personal injury and workers' compensation matters. And now I am a medical legal consultant and educator. Teaching at a couple of universities. I give a lot of talks. I have a talk at this year's AAPA, etc.
Awesome. Is that the meeting coming up in May, or is that a different meeting?
No, this year, yeah, the meeting in May.
Awesome. Good deal. I know there's going to be a lot of people attending that. You know, I'm assuming virtual because of all the discussion on name change. And so I think you'll have a big audience for that. That's awesome. So tell me, number one, what made you go from PA to JD? What happened? What made you want to do that?
I always had dual interests in law and in medicine. So I started in medicine. When I was PA faculty, I attended a lot of education law workshops that interested me. And when I was doing my master's in administration, I took an admin law course, which was one of the hardest courses and one of the most interesting. So I got the bug, and I considered getting a master's in, they have a master's essentially in medical law. And when I sent for the information, they also sent me their program on a JD with a health law concentration. I said, if I'm going to go back to school, I might as well just do it.
Yeah. And so I know the secret already, but everybody else doesn't. Where are you filming from right now? Where are you recording from?
Mexico City.
Really? Do you live there?
I live here. Yep.
How long have you been there?
Since June of 2016. So
really?
Almost 5 years.
That is awesome. And you obviously like it or you wouldn't be there.
Love it.
That's very cool. Very cool. So tell me, medical legal consulting, what's that entail? What do you do? Are you plaintiff? Are you defendant? Is it not that kind of thing? Give me a kind of just let us know what that all means.
I'm almost tempted to say we're not here to talk about me because what I do is unique because I'm an attorney.
I got it. Yes.
However, I can tell you about something about the spectrum of possibilities for PAs in general, which might be more helpful. Yeah.
Yes.
Among other things, I'm an advisor to the Academy of PAs in Legal Medicine, which is a very good resource for PAs wanting to work in the medical legal area.
Okay.
And in addition to having me and another PAJD, the APOM has a significant number of highly experienced medical legal PAs. So they're able to provide advice, mentoring, samples, etc. And there are almost always members who are giving talks at the annual AAPA conference, including this year. And So probably the most common medical legal involvement for PAs is as an expert, as a medical expert. And those are cases either for plaintiff or defense where you're doing one of two things or both. Either you're reviewing a case to see if there was a deviation from the standard of care or malpractice, and giving an opinion about that. You may also be asked by the attorney to give them an opinion about causation. In other words, the patient is not in good shape right now. If you found that there was a deviation from the standard of care, do you think that that deviation was responsible for the patient's condition today?
Gotcha.
Because you can have things go way sideways, and you can have long-term injury, but it turns out that malpractice was not the cause of that injury.
Gotcha.
So sometimes it's just a question of case review. So you're reviewing the records, giving a report off the record, if you will, so the attorney knows whether or not this is a case that's either worth pursuing on the plaintiff's side or worth defending on the defense side. There are situations in which a PA may be engaged by a defense firm or by an insurance carrier to say, look at this, what do you think? And you look and say, you know what, this was a blatant deviation from the standard of care, and the patient has this serious injury because of that. I would recommend that you settle. Or you might not say I would recommend that, but you'd say, I can't defend this.
Right.
I can't defend this. And so regardless of which side you're on, it's very helpful to the parties to have that expert opinion. So sometimes it's just pre-case or evaluating the facts of a case and if there was negligence, and if there was causation in terms of the injury.
So that's kind of a behind the scenes thing. That's not in court in front of a jury or judge. That's behind the scene thing.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. And sometimes it's as a potential testifying witness. So they're saying, look at this, give us an opinion, and let us know if there was negligence or if this case is potentially going to litigate, if you would be willing to serve as a testifying expert.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the next step there is you give your opinion. They may ask for a written report. They may ask for just a discussion. Generally, you'll get, if you accept being a potentially testifying expert, you're likely to get more records. You're likely to get other information such as deposition transcripts, etc., possibly reports from other experts, and you're likely to be asked to provide a written expert report in many states, not in all, but I would say in most states. At that point, if the litigation proceeds, you probably would have your deposition taken. Now, some cases settle, and actually all of the cases that I've had where I've used PA experts, which fortunately aren't that many, have settled before the PAs needed to be deposed. But very often you go to the point of depositions, and then the parties decide whether or not they're going to be able to settle. If they're not going to be able to settle, it goes to court. And as a testifying expert, you'd be expected to testify. That sequence is different in some states. In New York, as far as I understand, they do not do expert depositions. They go directly to trial if they don't settle. So unfortunately, you wouldn't have that kind of rehearsal in deposition in order to be able to get ready for your testimony. And actually, a PA who I used to work with in the ER once contacted me and wanted help because he was going to testify in a case and hadn't done that before.
Yes.
So that's one set of possibilities: behind the scenes litigation expert or potentially testifying expert.
So a couple questions. So again, I'm looking at from the aspect of a PA that would be interested in this field. Each one of those steps pay? I mean, that's something that he would
Oh,
get
yes.
paid, or he or she would get paid for?
Yes. Typically, you would develop a fee schedule, which
Okay.
would include the rate that you charge for reviewing records, correspondence,
Okay.
talking with the attorney, etc. Notice I say talking with the attorney, all of that is on the clock.
Oh, yeah.
From the point at which you accept the
Sure.
engagement. Very often, some people use the same rate for depositions or a higher hourly rate for depositions, or occasionally a flat rate or a minimum rate. Now, if you're being engaged by an insurance company, you may not have, or by a defense firm that is under contract to an insurance company, you may not have as much luxury in terms of what you're charging, because some insurance companies have caps and have set fees.
Sure.
It's usually more flexible on the plaintiff side.
Okay.
And then most often there's either a higher, sometimes much higher hourly rate for court testimony, or a flat rate for either half day or full day.
Okay. And those,
yeah, go ahead.
well, and APOM that you were telling us about, the Academy of PAs in Legal Medicine, they can help someone figure that out and help figure out their fee schedules and that kind of thing?
They won't tell you what to charge because there are questions about price fixing. And in an association, you generally, most commonly don't share the fees that you charge to avoid legal questions of price fixing. However, yes, they do help you figure it out.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
And so, because it depends on the area you're in, the geographic area, what the demand is, how much experience you have, how hard to find your specialty may be, et cetera. So there are all sorts of things, even within a given area, that affect the fees. But yes, they'll help give you the factors to look for. And the logic in terms of figuring it out. The actual fees, though, an individual has to set him or herself.
That makes sense. When would an attorney decide to use a PA rather than an MD or a DO?
In general, when the PA is the defendant, and so you want the same profession testifying as to the standard of care for that profession.
Got it.
Not 100% of the time, but most of the time. In general, though, it's only for a question of the standard of care. In other words, was there negligence or wasn't there? Did the defendant deviate from the standard of care? Most commonly, PAs and NPs are not used for medical causation. Most commonly, it's going to be a physician. Again, not universally, but in general, either because of court rules or because of jurisdictional law, or simply because many attorneys feel that a jury is going to find a physician more credible when giving opinions about medical causation. Now, we're still talking directly about litigation.
Yes.
And again, let's back up to where we bifurcated between behind-the-scenes experts and testifying experts. As a behind-the-scenes experts, you might be asked to give an opinion about physician cases, maybe about nursing cases, or about other types of ones. And in my present work, I do that. And so I get cases about podiatrists, about chiropractors, about physicians, PAs, nurses, etc. Again, my situation is different because I'm a litigator as well as a PA. And so I'm able to give opinions to a certain degree of complexity regarding the potential litigation issues, etc. So it's slightly different. But there's the possibility, for instance, that a PA could be hired full time by a law firm.
Mm.
In
Okay.
which case he or she would be looking at a full variety of cases, whatever came in that was medically related. You'd be expected to research what you don't know,
Yep.
and to give your best opinion, irrespective of who the defendant is. More firms use nurses, but in my experience, once they've had a PA, at least a good PA, they don't want to go back. Many legal nurse consultants are excellent and are extremely knowledgeable, but I think we know the difference in terms of the clinical perspective
Right.
of a PA, especially an experienced PA, and that of a nurse. Although when it comes to technical areas of nursing practice, you want a nurse.
Right. Is there a certain amount of years experience a PA would need in a certain specialty to try to do this?
For credibility, if you're a testifying expert, you probably want at least 5 years, more typically 10, and or as many or more as the defendant. At least from an attorney perspective, that's how I've generally looked at it. Unless in some other way something boosts your qualifications. Let's say the defendant has worked in the ED for 7 years. You've only worked 5, but you did a formal ED residency that night, or had a CAQ in emergency medicine. That might compensate for some difference in experience. In terms of working either hourly or full-time for an attorney, no, there's no particular requirement. It just depends on how well, what kind of impression you make. Now, there are other areas potentially. For instance, working in a hospital, in quality control or in risk management, working for an insurance company, or a peer review organization. All of those are potential non-clinical areas where a PA who's interested in medical legal work can be reviewing charts, evaluating cases, and giving opinions. In general, they're the same concepts. Was there a deviation from the standard of care, and did that deviation cause significant and permanent injury to someone?
Gotcha. Are there certain specialties that are more litigious than others that it would be best to be in? So in other words, if somebody was interested in this, would it be best if they had experience in emergency medicine or in neurosurgery, or does it not matter?
To some extent, I think it's similar to physician specialties. The high-risk areas, as you say, neurosurgery, anesthesia, OBG, typically have more litigation. But even just at APALM and in the medical legal listservs where I participate, I see just about every issue coming up, and you see primary care, and you see peds, et cetera. So as a PA, no, not necessarily. I mean, if you are in a primary care role that's where you do a little of everything, it's casting a wide net.
Yes, that makes sense.
Because it may be a question of, recognizing Stevens-Johnson syndrome in a child. Well, you don't have to be a peds PA to address that issue. Maybe you work in urgent care, ER, family practice, et cetera.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. Do you see most PAs that get involved with this making it their full-time job, or is this a side gig? What do you see?
Typically, it's a side gig.
Okay.
There certainly are PAs who dedicate themselves to this full time, but I think they're very few.
Okay.
It's relatively unusual. Now, if somebody's really interested in doing a lot of work in that area, again, I recommend, especially expert work, I recommend joining APALM because you have a lot of resources there. But it's also, in terms of doing behind the scenes work, or working again for an organization, a very good idea to take a medical legal consultant or medical paralegal or even legal nurse consulting course.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, because there you learn the basics of the legal issues,
Okay.
and it's not the same. It's not the
Okay.
same as just doing a medical evaluation from based on your medical knowledge. It's learning the rules of the game
Right.
are very helpful in terms of being an effective and efficient medical legal consultant.
I would assume it's a whole nother language, a whole nother world, I would assume.
Absolutely. What is legal causation? Right?
Mm.
How do you determine that?
Right.
And questions like that. And even the legal, I do a lot of work with and educating legal nurse consultants, and it takes a lot of experience in practice before they get a lot of the legal nuances down.
I'll bet.
But that makes a big difference, and
Sure.
that's one of the reasons that I'm engaged by experienced medical malpractice attorneys, because I can blend the medical side and the legal side.
Right.
But to the extent that a PA can educate her or himself on the legal side, they become more effective and more desirable in terms of being a consultant, not necessarily being an expert, because those are two different things. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And these courses you're talking about, are these online courses? Are they brick and mortar courses? Are they few weeks, several weeks, 2 years, 4 years? What are those?
I think all of those.
Okay.
These days, I'm pretty sure that most programs are available virtually, just because of the pandemic.
Sure.
But and there's certainly a lot of courses online. There are community colleges that give medical paralegal courses. I think those are typically 1 or 2 semesters.
Okay.
And there may even be, say, associate degree courses.
Okay.
And then if somebody's really interested in going hip deep, there are law schools that give master's degrees in health law. Most of those are not oriented specifically to the malpractice area, but this takes us into another area of opportunities for PAs, which is in regulatory or industrial practice. So having say a master's of science in jurisprudence, which is what my law school, Seton Hall, gives, would prepare you to go work at a pharmaceutical company or potentially work for a government agency like the FDA. Or even a state regulatory agency, where you'd be combining your legal knowledge with your medical knowledge.
I didn't even know that existed. That wasn't on my radar.
Many years ago, I'm guessing he's probably not there anymore, but many years ago, I knew of a PA who worked at the FDA as a regulator. So we're everywhere, in the White House, et cetera.
Yes.
So somebody really wants to make that career move into combining medicine and law, could think about a health law master's degree.
So all that said, if there's people watching here that are interested in this, that are PAs that are interested in this, the medical legal consulting, or even the other way we talked about with the regulatory or industrial legal aspect, what would be the first best step? Talking to APOM, or is there another first best step?
I think that's a good one. And then, I think that's a good one, because you have the opportunity to speak with other PAs who are experienced in that area. Now, again, most of the folks in APOM are involved as experts, and many as educators. But that's a good first step. And again, if you're thinking about areas other than expert consulting, you want to look for potential continuing education in medical legal issues.
And there are those type of opportunities at the AAPA, and I would assume at other CME conferences, there'll be aspects at those conferences that deal with the medical legal consulting aspect.
There are some, as well as, again, medical paralegal or medical legal consulting courses.
Okay. So when let's say that I said, wow, this is something I really want to do. And my wife did knock me upside the head when I said I want to do one more thing. So how would I get in touch with attorneys? How would I get in touch with an attorney pool to say, hey, here I am, and this is what I can do? How do you do that?
Well, one of them is APALM, because APALM has an attorney request line. And so attorneys and legal nurse consultants write, and they fill out a form online, and then all of the membership is sent the request.
Wow.
So that's one of the resources.
Okay.
The past president, Jeff Nicholson of APALM, also has a PA expert service. And so one can list with him. I think there are probably other services as well, but that's the only one I know of that focuses on PAs. And beyond that, networking. I mean, if you're really interested, you can even join as say an associate or affiliate member of your state or local bar association.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can go to their either the county and the state bar association meetings and network. Look at the correspondence, see who's doing what. Send a note and send CVs. Offer, for instance, to do a couple of case chart reviews for free.
You bet.
To get your foot in the door, or even offer more services for free in return for feedback, maybe going on depositions, etc. So you get your name out there. Once you have a little more confidence and a little bit more concrete to offer, you can even advertise in some of the publications of the local and state bar association. And if you get to that level, during the conferences, just like PA conferences, there are booths and tables of people offering services, and they're almost always legal nurse consultants, for instance, doing that. Now you've frozen for me, so I don't know.
Hey, give me can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, cool. So you started to say, and if you get to that level, and then it froze. Okay.
So if you get to that level, you can actually have a table or a booth at tri-lawyer meetings.
Okay.
Just like you see at the PA meetings. There are almost always legal nurse consultants. Never seen a PA there.
Really?
Yeah. So if you're somebody who's really diving into it, that would be something that would distinguish you.
That's awesome. Is there anything else that I need to know, or anything I need to tell everybody else out there that I didn't think of?
I think that's the majority of the information. Again, APALM is a good resource, so if folks are interested, and there are some in some of the other PA fora, for instance, the Huddle, and the PAC group on Facebook. There are a number of PAs who do medical legal work and seem to be happy to offer advice.
Peter Bergé, thank you so much for being in the PA universe. I very much appreciate it. I know everyone else will appreciate it. I think this will open up some doors, some opportunities for folks that either were thinking of this and didn't know where to go, or never even thought about this, and this might pique their interest. So I appreciate you being here very, very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me, and good good luck with this project.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to you later.
Take care.
Wow, what a good show we had today. Peter was fantastic, full of just lots of good information. Pointed us in the right direction with the group called APALM. You'll want to check them out at the website below. You can check out Peter Bergé's Facebook page. He's just got so much going on. If this type of thing interests you, the medical legal consulting, this is the firm APALM that you want to check out. They look like they've got it together. Also, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Let us know what you think by comments. Check out our Facebook page, our Twitter, our Instagram. We're all over the place. Shoot us an email. Let us know what you think. Let us know if there's something we could be doing differently. Let us know what you think of our new studio, of the new microphone, of the audio, because I know the past audio things they've been tough, but I think they're better. So let us know. Give us some feedback. Tell us what we can do differently. If you've got a suggestion for an interview, man, we want to hear it. Anyway, we're glad you came. Glad you made your way back to the universe. Now, back to the real world. We're out.